So this is the third video, third in the series on existence, on the series on undifferentiated whole and differentiated whole. So the subject here is existence, existence of God and existence of the creation. So in part one, we learned if you consider both of these existences, existence of God and existence of creation, uh, to be one and the same, okay, with no distinction between them, then that is heresy. That leads to heresy. And in part two, we learned what happens when you do the flip side. Okay, when you consider the existence of creation to be completely distinct from the creation of God. This is like a creation standing in like a person standing in front of God and claiming his existence in front of God's existence. So that is total destruction. That is shirk fil wujud. So that was the subject of part two. In part three, we take it further, and here the topic is absolute distinctiveness with variational sameness. So the idea here is this, okay? When a person is born, when a baby is born, right? The baby is not self-aware, okay? The baby doesn't know about himself. He doesn't have the concept of self-awareness. Okay? But as the baby grows up in this world, person matures and develops self-awareness. And then if they were to rise spiritually, then they would realize that this concept of self-awareness which they have developed in this world is indeed false. It's not real, okay? They were nothing to begin with. And then suddenly they became aware, they got this self-awareness. And then they realize the temporal nature of that self-awareness. And then they realize the falsity of that self-awareness. They realize the unrealness of it. And they begin to understand that there is no God, there's nobody except God. Okay, there's nothing exists out there except God. So in reality, the existence is God's alone. Okay, so the self-awareness which they have developed in this world is indeed false. So they start off with this absolute distinctiveness as they mature, right? So that God's existence is his own and their existence is something, is their own, right? And then as they mature spiritually, they start developing, they start getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. They start getting closer to God and they rise spiritually. And they begin to understand the insignificance or the lack of the real self, the lack of the real self, that the real self is nothing. The reality is nothing. And then they lose this self-awareness. So when you lose this self-awareness, to suddenly think that you have become one with God is indeed preposterous. Okay, it's absolute nonsense. Okay, so you are born nothing and you develop this false sense of yourself, and then you grow up with it, and then you rise spiritually, and then you realize this false sense of self that you have developed, and then you lose it, and all of a sudden you have become one with God. That is nonsense. That is the topic here in this third part. Absolute distinctiveness with variational sameness. Okay, so that's the title of given by Bahar-Ulum. In Arabic, it is ghairiyat haqiqi and ayniyat itibari. Okay, ghairiyat haqiqi means the absolute distinction, real distinction within existence, and then ayniyat itibari, and then from some perspective, right, you become one with God. Let me tell you, let me make it very clear. There's absolutely no perspective that exists in which the creation can be regarded same as the creator. There is no such perspective. Remove that thing out of your mind. Okay, you are nothing to begin with. Now, after growing spiritually, you can again claim that I have become nothing. Okay, I was nothing to begin with. That was my reality, and I have gone back to my reality, back into nothing. But to say that you have become one with God is indeed preposterous. Okay? So that is the topic here. Absolute distinctiveness with variational sameness. So let me start reading the translation of what Bahar-Ulum has written. Okay. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inu wa nastaghfiruhu. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Wa nashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. So distinction in wujud in an absolute sense and sameness in wujud upon reaching a state. Normally in Sufi circles, we refer to that as fanayat. Okay, so reaching a spiritual state of fanayat. Okay, so distinction in wujud in an absolute sense, but then when you reach that elevated level, claiming sameness in wujud with Allah Azza Jal Ma'azallah. Okay, so protection from both of these are wrong concepts. Okay, distinction in wujud is as we learned in part 2, it is shirk fil wujud. Okay, it's a major sin. And sameness is obviously a problem as well. That is simply heresy. Okay, so here Baha'u'llah writes, ask an expert what his or her expertise is. Would they ever say it's piling ignorance over ignorance? Okay, meaning you take some stupid concept, you take some ignorant concept, and you add some more ignorant concepts to it, mix them to create a compound, and then say, I am an expert in creating compounded ignorance, okay, building ignorance upon ignorance, piling ignorance over ignorance. Okay, so would they say, I mean, does anybody in their right mind claim such a thing? But what they are doing by this concept is exactly that. Okay, mixing up one ignorance on top of another ignorance and compounding ignorance. Okay, so would they say it is deriving contraries to the truth? Of course not. قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Okay, this is the verse from Quran, chapter 39, verse 9. Are those who know, meaning those who have ilm, okay, are those who know equal to those who know not? Okay, strange it is how they compound ignorance with ignorance. The extent to which they have gone to achieve closeness means khurb of Allah. The extent to which they have gone to achieve closeness, and yet what happened? Okay? A wrong concept developed, variational sameness, meaning sameness in wujud upon reaching a state. Okay, a compound of ignorance emerged. Okay, Baha'u'llah writes here, iron in the flame. You know, when you put a piece of iron in the flame in fire, iron in the flame started yelling, I am flame. Okay, so if you put iron in the flame, it starts glowing hot like fire, and then it starts yelling, I am fire, I am fire. Is it true? Absolutely not. Even if the iron were to catch fire and burn like a flame, it's not fire, it's still iron. Okay, so iron will never cease to be iron, no matter how bright it glows in the flame. Okay, the moon waxed and came out bright and full, but it still is a dark ball. Okay, because all it's doing is just reflecting sun's light, but in itself is a dark ball. It has waxed and come out and has become full and bright. Okay, but what it's doing is it's still a dark ball in reality. It's just reflecting sun's light. The possible, okay, the possible here refers to the person who is in this high elevated spiritual state. The possible, the person who is in an ecstatic state, experiencing proximity with the Creator, due to the state of proximity with God, he self disappears from his own vision. Okay, he self disappears from his own vision and he starts shouting Anal Haq. Okay, Anal Haq means I am the supreme truth. However, the possible, meaning the creation, can never become the essential, meaning the Creator. The creation can never become the Creator. Doesn't matter how close he gets to the Creator. Okay, he or she may lose the self awareness. So they start off as nothing, and they might become nothing. Okay, they truly realize their nature, that they are actually nothing. Okay, to say that is more accurate. Okay, that I was nothing to begin with, and now I have realized my reality, which is again nothing. Okay, saying that is more appropriate, is truth, than actually saying that I have become one with God. Okay, so So here you start off as nothing, and then nothing becomes the thing. Here the thing means God. So nothing becomes the thing. Absolutely not. Okay, that would be a revolt of the fundamentals and absurdity. So here, after having explained that, sameness in wujud, there is no such thing as you lose your self-awareness, you rise spiritually. Very, very important thing. Okay, to realize the truthful nature of yours, which is nothing. Okay, so to realize your nothingness, and realizing your nothingness is actually getting close to God. Okay, so realizing your own reality, which is nothingness, is actually getting closer to God. Okay, so when you realize your nothingness, and then don't start claiming that you have become one with God. Okay, that is preposterous. Okay, so after having explained that, now we go back to distinction in wujud. The possible, if present, meaning the possible, the creation, if present as a distinct existence or considered to exist in absolute sense, would become a partner in wujud of God. Considering your existence to be distinct from God's existence, indeed, a partnership in existence with God, Maazallah. Okay, that's destruction. That's your self-destruction to have such a concept. Okay, so Allahu Akbar, wujud is among the prominent attributes of God. If you associate others in wujud, but stay away from association in other aspects of God, so you avoid all other kinds of shirk. But shirkful wujud is your akhad. Okay, you believe that you exist distinct from God. Okay, in opposition to God's existence, maazallah, maazallah. That is shirkful wujud. So what good is it? Okay, avoiding all those other small other shirks, and then falling into this major shirk, the shirkful wujud. Okay. So here Bahilun writes, running away from the scorpions, but only to be bitten by the snake. What wisdom would that be? Saying La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, there is no change or power except through Allah. But not saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, what good does that do? So what does it mean here? Saying La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, but not saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So what that means is standing in front of Allah and claiming your existence, meaning that you are worth something, you are existing. Whereas, you know that there is nothing praiseworthy that exists out there except Allah. Okay, so all praise belongs to Allah. Okay, so your existence, claiming such an existence is indeed wrong. It's a denial. It's actually denial of Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It's denial of Alhamdulillah. It's denial that all praise belongs to Allah alone. Okay, so claiming, so what wisdom would that be? Saying La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, but not saying Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. It is tantamount to not saying Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. To think that your existence is distinct from Allah's existence is similar. It's same as saying as not believing in Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Maazallah, maazallah. That is shirk fil wujud. So this is part 3. Okay. So inshallah, part 4 is the concluding part in this series. Sadaqallahu al-Azim.